Good morning. My name is Margaret Isaac-Evans, and I am the CAO for the town of Tecumseh. First, just a couple of housekeeping announcements. Thank you for accommodating our requirements for face coverings and a minimum social distance of 2 meters from each other today. Hand sanitizer is available for your use, and an attendance record is being kept in case of need for contact tracing, so please fill that in before you leave. It is a pleasure to be here today on behalf of the town of Tecumseh to welcome Irek Kuzmerchek, Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Employment, Workforce Development and Disability Inclusion and Member of Parliament for Windsor-Tecumseh, who is here with His Worship, Mayor Gary McNamara, for today's important announcement. I would also like to acknowledge members of Council who are here with us today: Deputy Mayor Joe Bichetti, Ward 1 Councillor Andrew Dowie, Ward 2 Councillor Bill Altenhoff, Ward 3 Councillor Rico Toniel, Ward 4 Councillor Brian Houston, and Ward 5 Councillor Tanya Jobin. I welcome our Director of Public Works and Environmental Services, Phil Bartnick, and John Henderson, Manager of Engineering, who were instrumental in making the application to the program, and members of the Town Senior Management Group, as well as members of our Public Works team. I welcome all members of the media who are in attendance this morning. Happy that you have joined us for the announcement today. At this time, I invite MP Irek Kuzmerchek to this podium to deliver remarks on behalf of the Government of Canada.
Thank you very much, Marg, and thank you very much to everyone for being here today on this really important day. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge that the project we're announcing today will be built on the traditional territories of the Three Fires Confederacy, the Ojibwa, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi. I am so pleased to be here in Tecumseh today with Tecumseh Mayor Gary McNamara to announce the single largest federal investment in the history of the town of Tecumseh that will end basement flooding in this town. The Government of Canada is investing $10.7 million in this project to protect Tecumseh residents, homes, and businesses, while reducing the long-term costs associated with replacing infrastructure following natural disasters. And I have to tell you, Mayor McNamara and his team worked their tails off to go after this funding. We've had countless meetings, countless calls, late nights, weekends. This is a tremendous partnership and a tremendous team effort. This has been our priority. This has been our priority because Mayor McNamara and I know the ravages of climate change firsthand. We stood in the basements of homeowners, with homeowners, that were flooded in Windsor and in Tecumseh in 2016 and 2017. Thousands of residents were affected. Hundreds of millions of dollars in insurable damages were wrought. This project will address flooding caused by extreme rainfall and storms and will help mitigate risks associated with shoreline flooding caused by rising lake levels. The project involves the construction and improvements to 4 infrastructure assets: the decommissioning of the St. Mark's pumping station, the construction of a new consolidated Scully and St. Mark's pump station, improvements to the PJ Cecile pump station, and improvements to the storm sewers at 2 locations to convey stormwater runoff to the consolidated Scully and St. Mark's pump station. This investment will improve the ability for the town's storm damage drainage system to handle heavy rainstorms and protect the health and safety of our community. Flood mitigation projects like this one have a real and positive impact on communities by helping them to be better prepared to withstand the damages from extreme weather events and ensuring the community of essential services that are so badly needed in emergencies. These infrastructure projects also create good jobs and are critically important to building a strong community. This project will help Tecumseh create immediate and long-term jobs and promote economic growth at a time when our country and our community needs it most. Investing in infrastructure projects that help communities cope with the intensifying effects of climate change is an integral part of Canada's transition to a more resilient, low-carbon economy. This is one of the commitments we've made under the Pan-Canadian Framework on Clean Growth and Climate Change. And as you know, we are gradually reopening our economy as we all learn to cope with this new reality safely. Together, thanks to the efforts of millions of Canadians, we have made progress through the pandemic, but we are still in the process of adapting to the new world we find ourselves in. We are working together to reduce the impact of the pandemic, to protect lives, to rebuild businesses, and create jobs. And that's why in early August, our government announced that we're adapting our infrastructure program to speed up project approvals, open up more kinds of projects for funding, and offer a bigger federal cost share. We're doing this through the COVID-19 resilience stream that has earmarked up to $3.3 billion in federal funding. This new stream also supports disaster mitigation and adaptation projects, including natural infrastructure, flood and fire mitigation, and even tree planting. We're also bringing in the Canada Healthy Communities Initiative that will fund small, locally developed projects that can have a big impact in dealing with some of the effects of the pandemic. Projects such as pop-up bike lanes, more welcoming outdoor spaces, public Wi-Fi, and better apps for local municipal services. We need to look forward, to build up, and to do it in a way that makes our communities more livable, more resilient, and more sustainable places to live, work, and raise our families. As your local MP, I can tell you that the importance of strong communities has never been clearer. If anything good has come of this pandemic, it's a heightened awareness of what it means to be part of a community, how crucial it is that we can count on each other, look out for each other, protect each other, neighbor looking after neighbor, and to see every day that community is what we choose to make of it together. I find myself constantly thinking about how infrastructure investments support and strengthen communities across Canada. It also means helping attract new investments from everywhere. Businesses want to locate and build where they know infrastructure is modern, clean, and resilient. Canada has an excellent opportunity to be the low-carbon economy that global investors beat a path to, if we keep making smart choices now. Putting taxpayers' money towards drinking water, better transportation, more efficient buildings, renewable energy, protection from floods and fires, better access to broadband contributes to creating good jobs, stabilizing the economy, and helping communities get back on their feet. I want to thank once again, in conclusion, Mayor Gary McNamara and his team for their incredible work on bringing this project home. Thank you, Gary, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, MP Kuzmerchek, for that wonderful news. I now invite His Worship Mayor Gary McNamara to the podium to deliver remarks on behalf of the town.
Well, hello everyone, and I am extremely delighted to be here today alongside my good friend, MP Eirik Kuzmerchek, for this very exciting announcement. On behalf of Council administration and our residents of the town of Tecumseh, I am pleased to extend my sincere appreciation to MP Kuzmerchek, Minister Catherine McKenna, along with the Ministry of Infrastructure and Communities for this funding. This is the largest federal grant the town of Tecumseh has received to date. Following the devastating flooding events of 2016 and 2017, and in addition to the increased risk of lake flooding over the last 2 years, the town of Tecumseh developed a flood mitigation strategy to minimize the threat climate change has on the town. A storm drainage master plan was completed as part of this strategy, aimed at evaluating the town's stormwater systems and determining improvements required to help mitigate flooding risk. With this funding, we will be able to perform critical updates to 3 of our existing pumping stations, Scully, St. Mark's, and PJ Cecile. To put the significance of this perspective, the town has 8 storm pumping stations. Of those, 2 were reconstructed in 2008 and 2013. 5 of the remaining pumping stations were identified for reconstruction in the Storm Drainage Master Plan. This funding will help us to take care of 3 of those. The Scully pump station was put into service in 1974. That's 46 years ago. With St. Mark's pump station in 1957. Both of which are nearing their respective and service life. The project will ultimately involve the closure of St. Mark's pumping station and the replacement of both pumping stations with a new build at Scully site. The new pumping stations will have the capacity to handle both service areas and account for more frequent intense storms. The new consolidated Scully pump station will have an enhanced level of service to provide 6 times more capacity than that of the existing pump station. The existing pumping stations will be kept in service during construction. Storm trunk sewer improvements and the redirection of some storm drainage along Riverside Drive will be needed to the consolidated pump stations on the Scully site. This part of the project is expected to cost $17 million. The project also involves the construction of a new pump station at the PJ Cecile Storm Pump Station location. And this station was put in service in 1974, and it's nearing the end of service life. The new pump station will be constructed over the footprint of the existing structure, increasing its capacity by 8 times to accommodate the growing frequency of heavy rain events, and temporary measures are planned to provide service during construction. This part of the project is estimated to be $9.7 million. My council colleagues and I have heard from residents that more needs to be done to protect them from flooding, and flood mitigation is a vital priority of this council. This funding will assist in building our town's resiliency and keeping our community and its residents safe. I want to first, I'd be remiss to also, again, to thank MP Krishmerzik. I remember it was probably just a few hours after his election victory. He stood in my office early in the morning, and the first thing he said, we need to roll up our sleeves, find out what is essential to the community. This was one of the projects, and we're still working on another one, and which is obviously our sportsplex. But I can tell you, from the day one, hours after being elected, he put words to action, and here we are today, $10.7 million towards a very, very important project for our community. So Iric, thank you so much. Please extend our heartfelt thanks to Minister McKenna, but also to Prime Minister Trudeau and his government for looking out for communities like Tecumseh, be better prepared for climate change. So once again, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor McNamara. That concludes the announcement portion of our event this morning. Representatives will now be available for photo opportunity and media questions and answers.